She was pounding on my cabin door like she owned the place, waving some fake HOA paper and yelling, "This property belongs to the community! You're trespassing!" I didn't even have time to answer before she pulled out her phone and barked, "Dispatch, send officers right now! I've got a criminal on site!" My fists tightened, but I stayed quiet. I knew exactly how this game was going to flip. Minutes later, a squad car pulled up, lights flashing. Karen puffed her chest like she'd already won, pointing at me and shouting, "Arrest him immediately!" The officer stepped out, hand resting on his belt, and walked toward me. That's when the door opened behind me. My wife stepped out calmly, no fear on her face. The cop froze mid-step. His eyes widened as if he'd just seen a ghost. Then he whispered under his breath, almost stuttering, "Commander?" Karen spun around, confused. "What are you waiting for? Take him in," she barked. But the cop didn't move. He stood there stiff. His whole tone shifted from authority to shock. My wife crossed her arms, looking right at him, and said quietly, "You're in the wrong place, officer, and you're about to regret listening to her lies." The color drained from Karen's face. She had no idea who she had just called the cops on. Karen's mouth dropped as the officer straightened his posture, suddenly careful with every move. "Ma'am, I didn't know you were here," he muttered, his voice shaking. My wife didn't blink. "You should have checked before taking orders." Karen's face twisted, but she still tried to push through with her act. "Investigation? You can't touch me. The HOA board is behind me, and if you don't arrest him right now, I'll have your badge," she shouted, pointing at the officer like she owned him. The cop's jaw clenched, but he didn't answer. Instead, he took a slow step back toward his car. Karen grinned, thinking she'd scared him, but then he popped open his trunk and pulled out a small black case. When he clicked it open, I saw a body cam and recorder, official evidence tools. Karen's smile vanished. What are you doing?" she stammered. He strapped the cam on and spoke clearly, his tone now sharp and professional. "This is Officer Daniels documenting an incident of suspected false reporting, attempted unlawful entry, and possible impersonation of authority by civilian." He turned the camera right toward Karen. She staggered back, waving her hands. No, you can't record me. I'm the victim here." My wife stepped in then, her voice low but steady. "Keep talking, Karen. Every word is going on record." Karen's eyes darted between the officer, the camera, and my wife's calm, commanding stare. Her confidence crumbled like dust in her hands. But instead of backing down, she screamed louder, hoping volume could save her from the truth. What she didn't know was that this was only the beginning of her public downfall. Karen's screams echoed across the quiet street, but they only drew curtains back from nearby windows. Neighbors started peeking out, some with phones in their hands. She noticed that Karen lunged forward, trying to block the footage with her hands, but the neighbors were already whispering, phones pointed straight at her. One man muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear, "She's been harassing them for weeks. I've seen her sneaking around." Another neighbor added, "Yeah, she left one of those fake letters in my door too." Karen spun around, panicking. "Lies! All of you are lying!" she screamed, but her voice cracked. The officer didn't give her room to wriggle. "Ma'am, you've been caught on video committing attempted break-in, harassment, and filing a false police report. You need to stop talking and wait right here." He reached for his radio, but Karen, desperate, shoved him back. The crowd gasped. My wife didn't even flinch. She just crossed her arms, eyes locked on Karen like a drill sergeant watching a rookie fall apart. "Careful," my wife said quietly, but the warning carried more weight than a shout. Karen froze mid-motion, realizing what she'd just done. The officer steadied himself and stared at her in disbelief. "You just assaulted an officer in front of witnesses and on camera," he said slowly, as though he couldn't believe her stupidity. The crowd went silent, waiting for her next move. Karen's face twitched between rage and fear, but her pride wouldn't let her stop. "You'll regret this! You'll all regret this!" she screeched. What she didn't notice was the second squad car pulling up behind her with someone inside who would end her little reign of power once and for all.
The second squad car door swung open, and out stepped a tall man in a decorated uniform. His presence alone.
Karen stumbled backward, shaking her head like a cornered animal. "No, you can't do this to me. I am the authority here," she screeched, her voice breaking, but her words only sounded pathetic against the silence of the crowd. The senior officer turned his body cam toward her. "You've just confessed on record that you claim to have authority you do not legally hold. That's impersonation, trespassing, and obstruction." The neighbors started clapping, slow at first, then louder, almost mocking. Someone yelled, "About time she got what's coming." Another added, "Lock her up already." Phones caught every angle as Karen's face burned red, then pale. In one last desperate move, she lunged toward me, shrieking, "This is my land! Get off it!" But before she could even touch me, my wife stepped forward, her hand raised like she was commanding a squad. The senior officer moved instantly, grabbing Karen's wrists and snapping cuffs around them in one smooth motion. The sound of metal locking shut echoed like a final verdict. Karen gasped, twisting against the cuffs. "You can't arrest me! I own this place! The HOA will destroy all of you!" The officer leaned close, his voice steady. "Ma'am, the HOA has no jurisdiction here, and as of right now, you're under arrest for assaulting an officer, falsifying reports, and harassment." The neighbors erupted into cheers, some chanting, "Justice! Justice!" while cameras flashed like fireworks. Karen's empire of fake power had collapsed in the middle of the street, and for once, she couldn't scream her way out.